This is Studio 809 Podcasts, informing, connecting, and empowering the residents of the Pikes Peak region.
BNLO Season 2 is sponsored by Blackpackers, economic equity in outdoor education and recreation.
This is Badly Needed and Long Overdue, a controversial podcast about Colorado Springs. It's controversial because it makes sense. I'm your host, Nick Raven. How are you doing? Once again, I'm standing in the void above suburbia. Now, one thing that I have personally been on kind of a kick on for a bit since I was introduced to it by Alan Beauchamp by Tosk is the idea of Ring the Springs, a trail that runs parallel to the horizon, parallel to the horizon. That would basically link the trails up and around the north end of town towards the academy, and then along the south side go down Sand Creek Trail where it meets near, I want to say like the World Arena, and meets with the Pikes Peak Greenway Trail. So basically this 54-mile loop. It came about in a Parks master plan thingy in 2014, but obviously it's one of many, many projects that we don't have the funding for. So it's just been sitting there, and watching videos about the Atlanta Beltline and the economic opportunities that that's going to allow for, where people want to build and shop and go along this, massive, long, multi-use trail is exciting, although they want to build two light rails along it too. I don't think that's what this would be. But, as you can see, I am out of doors doing my urban hiking thing. I love hiking the city. I've done multiple 20-plus mile walks around town. I'm also regularly seen around Village 7. But that makes today's guest, Patricia Cameron, founder of Blackpackers, who focuses on outdoor recreation and equity. And that the Blackpackers is also a sponsor of the show. We have an incredible conversation about outdoor life here in town, what a more equitable Colorado Springs looks like, multimodal stuff, because of course, and even e-biking, just the safety in that and how we build it up. But then we get into some theory, like especially around protests, because we've been having a lot of protests lately, and like what's the best way to pursue those. So we have an incredible conversation. We had so much fun. It is very funny as well as serious. Lots to chew on. So with all that said, let's go to the interview with Patricia Cameron. But before we do that, let's go pay the bills. All right, see you in a minute.
The Nth Review. Do you like video games? What about multi-hour deep dives into how video games work? Of course you do! It's time you come check out what 22,000 other subscribers have already discovered. A whole bunch of delicious content about mechanics, immersive sims, action games, open world stuff, and why we play and enjoy games in video essays you can cook dinner to. Check it out at youtube.com/Nth Review. And be sure to check out my newest review for Deus Ex Mankind Divided, a revisit of the classic immersive sim, coming out soon. If you'd like to place an ad on BNLO, send an email to badlyneededpodcast@gmail.com and get your business, campaign, or message prominently featured on this beautiful, glittering podcast. Now, onto the conversation. Patricia, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Oh, you have a different voice on the mic. Okay.
Yeah, give it a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Give me a minute. We'll cool up. We'll
I'm doing
warm
well.
up.
Thanks
You're
for
doing
asking.
good?
Yeah.
How's your day been?
Good. This is the first thing I'm doing today.
Oh, okay. The first thing on the calendar. Mm-hmm. You keep busy, though.
I do.
What you doing?
Like in life?
Yeah.
That's too broad. Gosh.
Start with step one. That's how you do it.
Wake up.
Woke up this morning.
Being in this country.
Yeah.
No, I do have Blackpackers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I go to school part-time to get my nursing degree, so I want to go back and become a nursing practitioner. That was my original career before Blackpackers and after I had my son, but he was disabled, and so I had to do some stuff to take care of him. Kind of got off track.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm an EMT now, a wilderness EMT, but I want to go to nursing practitioning. And I write. I'm a freelance journalist, so I write for a few different outlets.
Who do you write for?
I've written for the Colorado Sun, the Denver Post, more frequently than anything else, Outside Magazine or Backpacker Magazine. But if I do investigative stuff, it's going to be for one of the state outlets.
So so Blackpackers, you started in 2019 and you're sponsoring this show. Where does that come from?
Blackpackers came from, interestingly enough, there's like this stereotype about black women that when we get bored, we go back and get degrees or something, right? It's very much the case for so many of my black friends. Like so many, I have Dominique who co-chairs Food to Power with me, just got bored and going back to get her PhD. It's kind of what we do. But in the meantime, I couldn't
more school, yeah.
Yeah, like why not get more degrees?
I love
and I'm
those
doing
papers.
that now, but at the time, back in 2017, I was a single mother. My divorce was final for years then, but my son's father was born and raised here in Colorado Springs, like very near Wasson, so central. Could have been north at the time he was born, who knows. But point of the matter is he was born to parents that at that time the zip code offered some benefits that where I grew up on the southeast side off of Shelton Academy did not. So we already know the statistics about that. I don't have to go into that. And so I didn't grow up going into the outside in the same way that he did, and I didn't grow up having the same access that he did. And all that's fair. That's not a comparative of his life or moral judgment on it. It's just to illuminate just how our backgrounds looked, right?
Yeah.
And so he would take me outdoors during our marriage, and his parents would have the gear. They had taken him outdoors already, so he had the knowledge. Like they literally took me fishing on a Livermore Reservoir, and I was just so stressed out. Like,
Are you like trying to impress? Like I don't know, but
no, because I'm on a boat with like these three Coloradans, and I'm very stressed about this thing. And I didn't have a license, so I remember his mom being like, "I would let you hold the pole, but they actually monitor this by air, so we can't even let you do that." And I'm like, "It's fine. I didn't want to do it anyway."
That's kind of dystopian, actually.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'd rather just sit on this boat and like not die. So there's that. And so, after we got divorced, like I said, my son had a lot of disabilities at the time. He was born super early. He was born 3 months early at 1 pound 4 ounces here at Memorial Central. And so he struggled with some of that in his earlier years. And it made my life, I had to focus in on that. And I didn't get a chance to like go out and do stuff even after the divorce, but also I was a primary caretaker at that point. So I was working as an EMT in a private practice at that time, and I decided I can't go back to school at that point. But I'm like, I want to do something that's difficult for me. One thing about me, I will say, that I'm really proud of is my favorite thing to do are the things I don't believe I can do. Like, nothing gets me up in the morning more than me thinking, like, I'm bad at math. Okay, go learn math.
Yeah.
Like, I am scared of backpacking. I have never tried it before. Then go do it, right?
What did you want to be when you grew up, then? Was that astronaut? President? Yeah.
Not even joking. I wanted to be an astronaut. Kid you not. I read Apollo 13. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Put me on a damaged tin can
with Tom Hanks.
You don't even know. And the crush I had, don't even get me going.
Okay, all right.
I had a crush on Tom Hanks starting from Big on. But in any case, I wanted to be an astronaut. But like, I was at Panorama Middle School, and my English teacher asked us what we wanted to be, and I said, I want to be an astronaut. He's like, you can't because you wear glasses, which at the time was true.
Yeah, it was true. It was true for my dad too, because he was Air Force.
See? So
he wanted to fly helicopters.
And it's not true anymore.
No.
But at the point I was like, fine, then I'll just get on a pole or whatever. Like, you just ruined my life. So I didn't know what I also wanted to do then. I went to college initially to be a sports journalist at UCCS, and then I ended up getting my degree in philosophy.
So you know Marcus Hill, right?
Know of, yeah. He always writes about like high school and prep stuff like that. Yeah, know
exactly.
him, yeah.
So in and around there, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to do, and then I ended up doing philosophy, and then I had my son, and I became an EMT because of my child. I wanted to be 911. So if you call 911, I wanted to be it. He came home on oxygen, and he had a whole bunch of things he had to do with doctor's appointments. Yeah. That kind of stuff. But I got bored and was like, okay, I want to learn a new skill. I want to try backpacking. Plus, my son was going to grow up like his father, born and raised in Colorado Springs. And so I wanted him to have the same abilities and skill sets that people who are born and raised in Colorado Springs have. And you see it.
Are you from here, or you transplanted here too?
I transplanted here. I got here in 94. So 31, almost 32 years.
So 3 years before me.
10, yeah. So I've been here for a bit. Home is Washington, D.C. area.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where most of my family is.
Yeah. So you had that you had the altitude in that too.
I don't even
it's
remember
such a
it.
vibe.
I was like 11 or 10 when I got here, so I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Because I moved to Nebraska first. So I was raised in Nebraska. I'm from Germany.
Lucky. Sorry.
I didn't have a choice.
That's where I want to go.
But we moved back to States when I was 7 or 6, I should say. So I remember Germany, but I don't have did you learn the language? Did you have schnitzel? Did you have any of that Germans? It's like,
I lived there when I was 7 to almost 9.
yeah.
Because my mother was stationed there.
Okay.
And so last summer when I hiked the Coast to Coast Trail, so I hiked from the west coast of England to the east coast of England.
Oh my God, how's that?
A vibe. It was
Oh, I
nice.
bet.
They're just
Yeah.
such dope people up there.
Yeah.
Northern English countryside. They're just come on in and have a pint. I'm like, I can't. It's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I got things to do.
No, you're good.
You can,
You're good.
Whatever. But no, I went. Then after that, I spent some time in London with Black Girls Hike because that was part of work I was doing for Blackpackers. And then I went back to Germany to go see where me and my mother lived. And I want to live there so bad.
Yeah.
They really got it together now. It was great.
Well, and it seems like with what's going on here now, and
right.
yeah, so
It's our turn apparently.
Yeah, I guess so. You mentioned that hike being a vibe, and I know that one of the core things about Blackpackers is just getting out there. And I'm an avid pedestrian, right? I freaking love walking around. And so you go from west side to the east side of this town, and you get that vibe too. Just walking around here is just something.
I do a decent amount of travel between work and other things. And you go to other countries, especially, like the UK or Ireland, those places, they have it down.
Yeah.
They know how to share the road, the sidewalks. Their community is built around people who are walking, people who are taking public transit, people who are biking, that kind of thing. And so to come back here, it was just so sad. The reason why I did not bike here is because I live off of Walnut, right there by the Bijou exit, which is searchable by Google, so I'm not telling anybody anything. They can't. But the only bike way to get across, over here is on the Colorado side. If I came up Bijou, that's a dangerous intersection to go through because the infrastructure doesn't really support it that way.
And it's fast.
Yeah, and I refuse. I tell my son, I don't care where you're going. If it's closer to the Bijou exit, still go down to Colorado and then come up. And so I didn't scope this route, and so I didn't feel comfortable riding my bike over here, which makes me mad because I drove 4 minutes. But the point is, I think in any other country that has good infrastructure, that would not have been so questionable.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been so afraid of it.
Yeah.
So.
I went to Washington, D.C. for the first time 7 years ago for a wedding, and I'd never been. I'm used to this. Not actually more out there because I'm in Village 7. So I'm used to the sprawled out, detached single family homes, and all that stuff, and really fast roads. And so we go to, Washington, D.C., everything is so tight. Everything is so dense. It feels like they took 3 cities and kind of smashed them together. And so when people talk about walkable cities, they talk about Europe and that. It's like, no, you just go to DC. You're in a car. 15 minutes later, you're in Bethesda. You're in Rockville. You're in all that stuff.
I mean, that's how I grew up. I was taking the metro when I was working. I finished high school out there because I had to go back and forth. Finished high school out there. I ended up going to George Washington University. Our metro is modeled after the French metro system.
Okay.
In fact, but even comparatively, I think New York is a better example of that because DC doesn't really compare. Denver doesn't really compare. You look at London. Look at London. That's a city that has it down. But also, I think
they're also
the mindset of America. Exactly. That's the point. Yes, exactly it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I say. The way they have learned to live on top of each other as they have, you can tell that they're used to it more than we are.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have these very, very. So we were outside of Frankfurt. And so, we would take the U-Bahn into town to go kind of do anything. And we had the option. It was maybe, I don't know, whether 50% of the time, we take the car. And they had the Autobahn to get you to and from. It was like, you have choices. Like here, you can drive or you can spend a very long time walking. And then
almost the same amount of time on the bus. I mean, my son takes the bus, and the way how often it runs and stuff. My son he'll miss the bus to Memorial coming home from skateboarding, and I got to go get him because it's not coming again until after sunset. So it's when I was in London, I was easily just I want to go to Germany real quick. Yeah, and so I hopped a quick flight to Germany, and then when I got to Germany, I was like, I need to get to this very specific small town I used to live in, and it was 2 of their national train systems. And I didn't know the language anymore. I used to when I lived there. So I'm just like fighting for my life as they're telling me the oncoming thing, and I'm counting on the map what I know the stop is, the name I do know. But it's just easy to get there. And it took me, American who did not speak the language, to navigate their system. It's just so intuitive.
Yeah, ich bin ein Train.
I got that. I'm like, Sprexy Deutsch, 9.
Sehr kleine, see.
9. Ambition, that kind of thing. It was so funny because, one thing we do have here is a lot of public restrooms in our stores. And so a lot of times...
In our stores, yes.
Not in the public.
Not in the public,
Not in the public. And so
yes.
You'll see, and I saw this a lot in the UK, that they won't have the restrooms in they have it in the public. And sometimes they're paid, sometimes they're not. But they don't have it in the stores. Like, you're not going to use a restroom in the store.
Okay.
So in the States, if I walked into a store and this is an emergency, I desperately need to go, even the most reluctant of people will probably let me use their employee bathroom.
Yeah.
So I'm in Germany e-biking. And I had to go really bad.
I believe that, yeah.
At the time, my belly was very large. I had some gallbladder problems. My belly was very large. And I was like, I'm going to go into this place, use my Google Translate, and play on their, heartstrings and say I'm pregnant. And so I go in there, and I kind of rub my belly and use Google Translate. Can I use your bathroom? I'm pregnant. And she just looked at me and said, 9. And I was like, word? Okay. I was like, then I'll go somewhere else. They didn't even play, just 9. I was like, all right. Good talk. As I rub my fake belly. Okay.
The German hospitality.
There's such few people, but straightforward. Straightforward. Yeah.
That's the industrialness, the engineering. So, Blackpackers.
Yes.
So you wanted to have what other stuff are you doing outdoors that it's like, this is something I really, because you're getting to nursing school and all that. And I know we didn't want to talk about you, but it ends up coming around full circle, I assure you. But what is about being outside? And I know there's natural beauty here. There's the exercise, there's the connectivity. What is it about being outside that makes it important? Are we losing it? What's going on?
I mean, if you look at the history of humans, we spent more time in outdoors than we do now.
Yeah.
This is a fairly recent and modern invention.
The
way that we're here indoors, and not just indoors, especially as we're having these single family homes, and we're not having multi generations live in one home. These are fairly new things.
Yeah.
And it is not surprising that you go outside and it feels different for people, and people describe it in so many different ways, and I want to honor that. And so I can't speak to what exactly it is. Science tells us a bunch about, the experience of adrenaline and dopamine and XYZ, and just like any other exercise science. But I just feel like it's whenever you go home, that feeling you get is what everyone I've ever taken outside gets. Even people who live out here in Colorado and I always use statistics for the Black community because I don't believe in speaking for other communities. So I think this extrapolates to other communities as well. But when you go a place that you belong, you feel at home again. And everyone who comes out to Blackpackers events and they come out backpacking or camping and they come out skiing and snowboarding, at the end they say they feel this comfort level, the happiness they get from it. It's almost like they were always there. How I felt so I hiked the Colorado Trail in 2020. I did a lash of the PCT in 2022.
That is West Denver to Durango.
Yeah, it's Denver to Durango, 486 miles.
Okay. So a couple days, just a couple light snacks.
It took me longer than most people. It took me 6 weeks. I mean, for what it's worth, it took me 6 weeks. I think on average it's about 4 weeks. It took me 6 weeks because I was also writing for Backpacker magazine at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so I stopped once a week in town to take what we call a Nero and a Zero to write, send it off to my editor, who edited it without me getting approval, which is dope. That means it's a good editor, right? He's incredible. But yeah, so when I was out there, we have this thing called post-trail depression when you come back. The feeling of being in this is overwhelming and depressing. But when I was out there, I would be, on the PCT, it was up to 14 days I didn't get to a city. On the CT, it was 8 days I didn't get to a city. And in that time period, you become so accustomed to being outside. You're not showering.
Yeah.
You smell awful, but really it's less you smell awful. You smell awful to a city person, but you smell like the outside, to all the things outside, which is a benefit because bears. I don't want to smell like
a Yankee Candle.
Yeah, I don't want to smell like caramel salted whatever out there. But I remember when I was out there in the beginning, I was so afraid of everything. Every sound was a bear coming to kill me in my tent.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I could tell the difference between a leaf, a marmot, a chipmunk, a mouse, a deer, just by just laying in my bed. That's not even a huge thing, I think, but just to see how quickly that happened. And towards the end of the trip, I kid you not, Nick, there were people, because I was getting closer to Durango side, so there were more day hikers coming in. I could smell their fresh clothing and their laundry detergent in the wind as it like wafted
It's like a
past me.
heightened sense.
Yeah, because it's abnormal to that space, which reminds you that, of course, bears can smell us from miles away. Like, who am I kidding that bears can't smell me from miles away?
Yeah.
But that was home, and it felt like home. And even now, I'm not on the trail anymore, but on any given day, that feels more like home to me than being in my house. So I love it, but I'm always wanting to be out there.
That kind of like that. So I was in the Scouts, and that is very much a, like, I almost want to say white person, but it's a military thing. It's a very conservative. It is a, you're going to get into the military someday. So there's a lot of like, they kind of thread in together. So that's where I was at. And that's kind of where I did the bulk of my outdooring early on, like the camping, with the being out there, the experiencing nature kind of deeper in like in actual nature, even though there's still provisions, outhouses, stuff like that. And you get out there for even just a weekend. And I can't imagine what it's like now in this age of smartphones and stuff like that. Because last time I went camping was like 99 or something like that.
That's the last time?
Yeah.
Oh, you're coming with us now.
All right. I know. I know. It's the idea that this is how people used to actually live because they had to. Like there was no Google says it's going to take you 20 minutes to get this delivery from DoorDash or something like that. And that natural state, like I can see how the chemicals just start flaring up like we use, because we're not born for whatever this is.
I mean, to be fair, I'm the kind of person, I am not, I know there's a lot of people that are kind of like, these phones are the problems. Like, your parents are just like, oh, my toe hurts, it's his phone. I don't think that's the case. I do think that humans, we have very malleable brains and we develop very well. And I think it does a disservice to human intelligence to think that we cannot manage both. I think too much of anything is going to be a problem, right? Like too much electronics, right? But I do think that we can live in a world where electronics exist and people who, in the ability to not use electronics exist. And I'm not just saying this as a millennial who straddled that. Yeah. I just think it's like a capacity for the human brain has a capacity to adapt. So we do. Because you see how quickly a person like me, who's always on TikTok or Twitter or something, how quickly when I go outside, that's just is not important to me. I think it's more, once people go out there and see, they'll see the difference. And like nobody wants to be on their phones. You don't want to be. It's just a different environment.
It's where you get your dopamine.
And you adapt very quickly. People who think that they can't get anywhere only because they use GPS in their maps, we do. We know. Like as humans, we know. We have an idea. We're teaching our first land navigation class at Blackpackers as part of our outdoor education certification. Please let me talk about that at some point. Don't let me forget. But even though there are technical map skills, yes, there's also humans who know how to read things and like know how to figure out the general concepts of north or south or up or down or elevation.
Just intuitively.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of things we can figure out on our own. So I think people underestimate just how much of evolution has just built into us our ability to navigate in general. We built cities that make it harder, but
what happens when you don't have access to that though? Whether it's because we're in a suburban environment and you don't have I'd never need to pull out a compass and figure out where north is and stuff like that and dial in and that
especially here, right? Because we have the mountains. I never.
You go to Nebraska or something, it's like, I don't know.
I get stressed out in Denver because sometimes I'm in Denver and I'm in the city and I can't see the mountains. And people say, go north. I'm like, well, where's north? I need the mountains.
I can't see.
No, I mean, that's part of what we talked about in Blackpackers. So one of the first articles I wrote was back in 2018 for the Colorado Sun. That's actually when I really got a chance to meet patients. I think she was like the food access coordinator or education department coordinator at that time for Food to Power. And
Patience is amazing.
Right? Yeah. Like honored to call her a friend, honored to work with her, somebody that I learn from every day. And I tell her this too, so she won't be surprised to hear it. But
Patricia said, what?
No, she knows. She knows. Because whenever I want to write a strongly worded email, I back off and think, what would patients write?
Yeah.
So I write it like she would write. But I wrote about Colorado Springs being a food desert. In 2018, it was tied with Oklahoma City for the worst food desert in the country, and it's also a transit desert.
Yes.
And so we were talking about how transit is tough and how, in particular, the four quadrants are cut off from each other. Yeah. Combined with urban sprawl, and there's a few things we found out. Like, for instance, our infrastructure is going to struggle to support it. because our grid is in only one small part of town. Like it gets offset over there at Palmer Park in Union. It gets offset. Like, was it like 2 city planners coming up with something? Something happened where it's offset.
It's kind of everything after the. Honestly, you get past Memorial Park.
Yeah, it just
and it's just.
Yeah, so whatever happened with that
like
city planner,
SimCity.
you can see it where it's offset if you look at a map where it hits that thing. So our grid is very small compared to other cities, but the boom in Colorado Springs happened after the 1950s, and you know what happened in the 1950s, right? It was white flight.
Yeah.
And so that's where everyone is just like, let's get as suburban. We didn't know the word then, I'm sure, but suburban as possible.
Yeah.
And so they're just having these far flung out neighborhoods that don't include through streets. A lot of cul-de-sacs. And so the article was entitled How the Cul-de-sac Created a Transit That in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, because they're
like
maximizing real estate and stuff like that.
And so like it's going to be tough to get transit in some of those places because of how we're built. It's not impossible, but it speaks to how that's one of the problems. The other problem is how, of course, we fund things here.
Yes, among many. I'm just trying to imagine like the number 5 just trying to go around a cul-de-sac very, very slowly.
Don't even get me started. Like I really, like, again, that was like when Colorado Sun first started. It was my first investigative piece, and I was very proud of it.
And they're relatively new too.
They are, and I like their work. I like most of the journalistic work here when it's balanced. And stoked to hear about Jaquan.
Yes, that today.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is going to be October-ish when this airs, but it's when it was announced, it was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Lifeline, and I hope that they are able to move in a better position than say like the Indy did, because that was a struggle through that. Anyway,
I mean they were handcuffed at that point.
Yeah,
and that's why Blackpackers is a sponsor here. When we saw this, we need to have these voices here. I lived here for a very long time and had Colorado Springs Gazette as the loudest voice. Yeah, and they are who they are. But I have an issue with them. I
appreciate it.
I mean, you don't even like. I mean, it's like on site type issue. It's on site at any site type issue. So what happened? In 2015, I burned a Confederate flag at Soda Springs Park in Manitou Springs.
Well, that seems like the best place to do it.
Oh, I lived there. It was only because I lived there. I wasn't like, it had nothing else to do with anything except for, I lived across the street from Soda Springs Park. Mm-hmm. And my goal was if it got violent at all, I would just retreat to my house and then defend my house as one will. Yeah. But I was a former firefighter at Manitou Springs. I was an EMT at that time. I had researched all the laws. There was no current fire ban. If you had to have an open flame at that park, you had to put it in a grill. So I put the flag into a grill. And we ended up burning the flag, and 3 weeks later, I got arrested for 4th-degree arson. Ended up getting dropped.
They're going through it, like, what can we get her for?
What can we get her for? Yeah, it was so ridiculous. They ended up dismissing it. But to that point, the Gazette sent somebody out who literally libeled me. I did not light the flame. Somebody a transitional person who was living under the pavilion there ended up lighting it, and we were waiting for the rain to stop. Mm-hmm. So we had put lighter fluid on the flag. We put it in the grill. We were going to move it to the far west corner of the park once the rain stopped, and I think that gentleman was just mad we were in his house, which is fair. And he just kind of walked by and lit it, and then when we saw it light up, we were like, okay, we're here. Let's do what we're going to do. Yeah. Made sure it went out as it should and stood next to it and did whatever protest we were going to do. Yeah. So then the Gazette comes out with an article and says, Patricia Cameron lit a match, threw it on the grill, and stood and watched as it went up.
And cackled
cackled maniacally, yeah. Meanwhile, one of my best friends at the time, Steve Carlin, and the picture that people have used from that, whatever, had already recorded it. So I didn't say anything initially because, libel has to prove damages, right? So I didn't say anything initially. But when I got arrested 4 weeks later, the first thing I did was get online and say, can I talk to y'all about libel? Like, this is what happened. Here's a video. This is what y'all said. So they ended up retracting it. Because also, by the way, the Manitou Springs the police department mentioned the Gazette. Mm-hmm. So that does, prove some kind of damages.
Yeah, so you can get that documented.
And so they retracted it, but quietly. They just updated, this was updated on this day. Yeah. And never really did. So during that time period, all of Colorado Springs and Colorado turned against me, the former fighter, by the way, because they turned it into she could have started a wildfire thing.
Sorry, what year was this?
2015.
Okay.
So it's like
this
3
was
years
right
after Waldo Canyon.
Yeah, exactly. And that
Which is
a
why I
huge
was on
thing.
my game. And I lived in Manitou Springs. I got evacuated during Waldo Canyon and then spent that time in 2013 living through the floods.
Yeah,
So,
and I know that
yeah.
was absolutely terrible.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
So I knew what I was doing, but it was very easy to change it from, well, we respect her right to this, but, you know how people do, but she could have set the state on fire. So I have not let the Gazette use me. Well, one other time, they had an article about me, and they did not moderate their comments. And so people were calling me racial slurs in the comment. And I was like, I will not do interviews with people. You cannot use my likeness if you will let slurs rock.
Yeah.
And so I was like, don't ever use my name again if you're going to let that happen. So
Yeah. And that's why so many outlets have just turned those off.
it's the best idea, or at the very least, you could erase the slurs. Nobody's telling you to go in there and tell people to be polite, but calling people slurs as
Seriously.
they do is ridiculous.
Yeah, and at least like Facebook will mask them out or whatever they're going to do because they have AI and automation and however many billions of dollars.
It typically, you can hide it, and then if somebody really wants to see it, you'll hit the button, and you're like, dang, I wish I wouldn't have hit the button to see it.
Do you actually get that thing where you like want to see what I want to see? I want to see this shit.
Sometimes I want to see it.
But it'll like it won't. Like
because it's that bad. It's got to be that bad.
It's like that's a system, something like that.
Whatever they said.
So you're making a name for yourself. And then I'm going to start a nonprofit. So
well, that's why I'm stoked about Jaquan doing that. It's Jaquan what? I always want to say Joaquin because I think it's like I think it's Jaquan.
Okay.
I hope. Please, I apologize if it's not Mr. Mobley. If it's Joaquin and not Jaquan.
Mr. Mobley.
Yeah, Mr. Mobley.
Yeah. No, it's exciting for media because having that. Even though I was at the Indian, it's kind of its waning days. It was very important to have that second outlet who was going to talk, because SoCo Insider, which is now the husk of everything and the people who've moved on to there, it's a pamphlet. It's arts and entertainment coverage, and that's great because they've got some great writers there. But it's not going to counter the Gazette. It's
and that's
not
the
out
point.
there.
It's not. I don't mind the Gazette in the face of having another voice.
Yeah.
And so long as we have that, I think that's, it's balanced.
The contrast.
I think half of what they say is ridiculous. Like today they said something about Hickenlooper's food scare. It was an opinion piece, but
the editorial board there is just
good grief. Yeah. But as long as we have something that counters it, I think that's fair. I think I can live in a world where you have the Gazette voice and then you have imagine it's the Denver Post, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind having those voices, but I got really scared there because who was Colorado Springs' voice going to be for people like you or me?
Yeah.
The Southeast side, especially representing us in an accurate manner, because the Colorado Springs Gazette only demonizes the Southeast or gives them that poor token, like this money came in to get these poor folks out of the Southeast kind of thing. They never really put it in a great light. So I'm just happy that we might have some balanced voices.
Yeah, and I remember going to the town hall because there was this. I mentioned this in every single Dave. Don't I mention it every single episode? The 6 to stop.
It meant a lot to you because you were posting about it and telling people to go.
Yeah, exactly. But people in the Southeast didn't want to just be the place where you live and then work and go somewhere else to do all that. That was a really big deal. And so when you talk about food deserts, transit deserts, stuff like that, and you brought a very good point of connectivity, of when you build a thing here and you build a thing here and you don't connect them, that's not a community.
It's not.
It's not. That's barely a city. Legally it's a city. Someone may be paying for both parts of it, but that's why Carmen.
You could
Line
arguably have 4 cities in this town, the way it is. You could arguably.
You
say
originally
that.
did.
Yeah, you really could. But so the Sand Creek Trail. I mean, I grew up on it. Blackpackers adopted the south part of it, and Rise Southeast adopted the Youth Advisory Council adopted the north side of it. They're also incredible too. Shout out Joyce and Emily. But I was working at Mountain Equipment Recyclers. That's now on Bott Avenue on the west side, off of 20 something. I don't know. For 2 years. Yeah, it's up there, high up there. And I was living at the time in my mother's basement for a variety of reasons. But I do own a house now.
Flags, yeah.
If anybody's interested. Single and own a house now. But
that's how it works out, yeah.
Yeah, I just, poor times. But I was driving from my mom, or not driving, but I was riding my bike from my mom's house to Murr, because I wanted to become that person that rides their bike. And Alan was the one who showed me.
Alan Beauchamp?
Yeah, of course, it was Alan, right? Who showed me a route to get there. And it required so many different, like changing trails a few times, which wasn't the worst part, but there were so many dangerous intersections and places that weren't built for bikes. And I know Alan and them and Rise Southeast have put a lot of work into putting those lights there and those pedestrian walkways. But the point of the matter is that trail is not just for, and this is just to your point, it's for a lot of things. It's for walking, for for biking, and for people to use it and be a part of that fountain watershed, of course. But also that is another transit thing. That is another connectivity issue. I was trying to get to work from the southeast to my job on the west side. It took me 10 miles. 10 miles in a long time to get over there. It wasn't an e-bike. I was just pedaling at that time in my life. Alan was telling me, like, okay, Patricia, when you get to this hill, pedal really fast downhill because you can use that energy on the uphill.
Yes.
And I was like, thank you for that hint, Alan, because I wouldn't have made it. But like people commuting, that's another thing about that too. And so it's important to talk about that with Southeast as well. In that trail, people kind of see it as a throwaway, but it's also just as much a way for people to get to work, to get around, just as much as it's for exercise and things like that.
When I was listening to Living the Springs with Dave over here.
Is it a podcast?
Yeah, they talked about e-bikes recently, and I rode my bike to Patty Jewett last week, and it had been since February since I'd been on a bike, and I was feeling really guilty. But one thing about Colorado Springs is the elevation changes, and I don't have an e-bike, I have an acoustic bike. Got you, Dave. It's hard. I bring it up, but there's that Palmer Park along the north side. There's a trail, and there's like one section where it's clear that it blasted through it, and it is not meant for humans. It is like a very good grade, and that is the one spot where I have to stop, get off. Now, if I had an e-bike, like, oh yeah, I'd be like sort of the other one, people riding there and get through it. But without an e-bike, it's hard to enjoy, much less get places in this town. And then the connectivity with the trails and that. I have a road bike with road tires. So going through that loose, impacted, packed in dirt, gravel on the greenway.
Y'all people are incredible, the road bike folks. Yeah. Y'all are incredible. Mine is like, what's it called, that little bike, not a mountain bike, what's it called? The Bromptons? No, it's a name for a bike that's not a road bike, not a mountain bike. It's whatever it's called. I forgot. Murr would be mad at me because I did that for 2 years. But road bike people I think are just hardcore.
I just like gliding down those bike lanes. What can I say?
I was down, because I used to live off South Nevada, so I was down there doing some shopping. And I was watching this dude who was on a road bike, and he was no-handing it while smoking an actual cigarette. Not even vaping, just smoking an actual cigarette. And I was like, you know what? You incredible.
I can't.
Like no-handing a road bike?
I cannot keep one hand on the handles.
Yeah.
It scares the shit out of me.
They're tough. Like they're tough. That's why I say they're incredible. Because on my e-bike I can like kind of coast a bit. But road bikes,
no. So I had a bike growing up, and I didn't get used to shifting. I had no idea. So when I was like, I'm going to be very intentional about this. I'm going to learn how this works. And then when I started getting, so like you're going downhill, you're shifting up, you start feeling just a little bit shift, you come to a stop, you shift down 2 or 3. Like, it's such a cool thing. Like that dopamine of like being outside and being able to experience things at human scale and on a bike. But it's like, I just wish I could get across town a lot more easily than I can.
I wish we could come with that. I know, especially since we know that public transit is going to always be further behind us, right?
Yeah, and expensive.
I think these bike lanes and doing that kind of work would be easier.
Yeah,
and come faster. And I wish we could really push for it.
And one thing that you brought up Europe and like how they're doing things. Paris built a lot of their transit network by just slapping paint on. Like we think slapping paint on is not enough, but it's a start, and that's how you build that enthusiasm. That's where you build. It's like, oh, there's a bike lane there. Because I'm near North Carefree, and half of it has a bike lane, and the rest is scary. You know?
That's the thing. Like, everywhere you go, it's kind of like it's a crapshoot if you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Because I live off of Colorado, and so I don't like taking Colorado because I'm going to have to be in the road.
Yeah.
So I don't really like that. I'll get on the sidewalk. I read the laws. I'll do it. Like, yell at me if you want. I know my rights. But I have like a class 1 bike, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. Sure. I'm also on the board of directors of Trails and Open Spaces Coalition.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the e-bike thing has been like huge, a huge conversation.
Well, I was on CTAB when that was going through. So we had all those presentations on our side as well, is to say, well, class 1, and then we're not going to call it a motorized bike, but it is.
It's
not.
pedal assist versus, especially if you're talking to the community, pedal assist rings better to people's ears.
Yeah.
And so, and I think a lot of people are confused about what e-bike means on these trails.
Yeah.
Because I think, and I think rightfully so, especially if you don't educate people about it or they don't have the access to the education about it. Especially how we completely ignore the East when we talk about these things.
No, we do.
Yeah,
it's miserable out there, unfortunately.
And so, because you saw in the first vote with Tops, East was the ones that helped us lose it. And then we had to go back and do it again. But I'm not sure we're doing the best job, and this is something I've talked about with Tosk, of really educating people about what a pedal assist bike is, what an e-bike is, and then also the environmental factors, what that looks like, and people don't know how fast it can go up to. And so telling them it's only a max of this.
Yeah.
And you're already getting that with those mountain bikes anyway.
Yeah.
And so this is just a way of making a trail more accessible in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
To people who otherwise wouldn't have it. That's my stance on it. But
I agree.
What we find is people just simply don't know, they hear e-bike and they think dirt bike.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Because I have ridden down Austin Bluffs coming down from Stetson Hills.
Really?
And I hit 25 miles per hour on the multi-use trail that they have there. That scared the shit out of me too. And sometimes if I'm just feeling like a little off, I'll just imagine, oh, Nick, you could be going down 25 miles per hour or faster down Austin Bluffs, and you hit 3 atoms or molecules that are assembled just wrong, and you are now a smear somewhere in all those homes. But it's the idea that if you wouldn't have e-bikes, you can't get there unless you weigh 50 pounds and are 100% muscle.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
I promise. I tell people something. I promise you, even on my e-bike, I am creeping along. It's pedal assist. I'm not going that fast, y'all.
No, because you get into running and stuff like that. It's I don't need to be fast. I just need to get it done.
Yeah.
I'll run a marathon. It's going to be 5 hours, but I'll get it done.
I'll walk it for sure. 100%.
It's been that long. So what can the city really engage off of with Trails and Open Space Coalition and that? What kind of advocacy are you doing with the city, say directly, to be this is what we need and that?
Directly?
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
I do it in my way.
Yeah, sure.
And that's not to say that I don't believe in direct advocacy. I think there are people who are doing it.
Yeah.
And they're doing a great job at it. And I believe in letting the voices who are doing, Kimberly's on city council now.
Yeah, yeah.
Kimberly's incredible at that kind of thing. Yeah, oh, really? Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah.
I might, mention something to Kimberly, and maybe that's something that she thinks about, or I'll talk about it to patients, or I'll bring it up at Task. I personally don't think that, specifically because historically this town has seen me as
trouble.
Yeah, I'm just, Blackpackers, burning Confederate flags. I let people who, when they walk into a room, people don't immediately go, oh, she's going to talk about black stuff again. So I let them do it. And I advocate in 1,000 other ways. I write things. I work on boards of directors. But me going to a city council meeting is
that's not your thing. No, I hear you. And that was not a dig why aren't you doing the work? It's
no,
I know you're doing the work.
It's just, I think there's different ways of doing it.
Exactly.
I believe in all the ways they're doing it. I think sometimes you need to set a flag on fire. I think sometimes you need to get out the vote. I think sometimes you need to have a protest and stop traffic. I truly believe in those things.
Yeah.
There's different ways of doing it. I think that when we think about the civil rights movement, we forget that, people love to say, Martin Luther King believed in nonviolence. A couple things. One, I don't think they really read Martin Luther King, because especially towards the end, he was going to bop people upside the head.
Yeah.
And him and Malcolm X got very close in ideology towards the end. But also people forget, because we like to hype up so much Martin Luther King and the watered down version of what the nonviolence movement was, because it wasn't passive but nonviolence movement, right?
Yeah.
We forget that we needed Malcolm X, we needed the Black Panthers, we needed all of those different movements. And so the movements of, if you look at the Black Panthers and them just arming themselves changed California's gun laws.
I know, right?
Yeah, so I'm if you look at history, it wasn't just one version of a movement. And that's why I look at even movements now when we're looking at the states and how we're looking at Free Palestine, how we're looking at the fascism that's rising in this country. I don't have it in me to look at somebody and say, oh, you weren't at that direct action, you don't care enough. Oh, you didn't stop stopping at Target, you don't care enough.
Yeah.
I want people to do the things that they can do, and all of those collective actions, I think, matter.
Yeah.
So I don't shop at Target anymore. But if that's your, but here's the thing though, you look at a place like this where there are so little fresh food options or shopping options. I'm not going to tell somebody they can't go to King Soopers because they don't like Kroger or something. I don't know.
Because otherwise they're going to have to drive like 10, 20 miles.
Yeah,
to
where
get
are you going to go? So
Yeah.
I tell, and I also don't argue too much about Amazon. Like if that's how you get things, you look at places like Colorado Springs, you have to drive a whole bunch of places or to get somewhere. But I say do the thing you can do. So if you can't stop shopping at Amazon because you might have accessibility issues. Cool. What else could you do?
Yeah.
Maybe you could go to that city council meeting because that's closer to your house. Maybe you could write that letter to the editor or, donate money to this cause or something. But I think all of those matter.
I absolutely agree because, everything's so connected now to say like, oh, they were involved with this or they were involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't
exactly.
be involved.
What are we going to have?
Yeah, like how deep you want to cut on this.
And that's by design. That's the capitalism and that's the system, and that's the states, and that's by design. It's going to take a lot of work to dismantle that interconnectivity. But in the meantime, I think we'd have a lot of empathy for each other as we navigate where we spend our money and how we stand up in this. Because this is going to be a long fight.
Yeah, no, and that even translates over not just capitalism, but even with policy. So when people are like, I hate bike lanes because they think that they're taking away my freedom as a car driver to be able to go as fast as I want or to wherever I want. It's like, no, but also bus policy. It's like no one's going to ride a bus. It's like if the bus were as convenient or even more convenient, people would use it. And you hear a lot of those opinions from Eastside Colorado Springs where they're not being serviced. We hear it from the Northeast side where there's none at all. And so that steers a lot of policy. It's like you can't, if you just take the raw feedback, you're not going to get change because people want horses still. You're not going to get the horseless carriage or the bicycle or something like that. You've got to present the new option.
Which is why it goes back to having balanced opinions and balanced views and having everybody being able to speak up. And so wherever you can speak up. Because if you only heard it from your side, it would be, nobody's riding the bikes. Everybody's riding the buses. But the other side of that is people would. They absolutely rude. When I wrote that article, Northeast Colorado Springs and Southeast Colorado Springs has these same transit issues. It just manifests differently because the Northeast oftentimes has economically a bit more financial stability than the Northeast.
They can drive wherever.
Yeah. So they suffer from the same problem, but it manifests in the Southeast differently than it does in the Northeast. You could conceivably get those two populations together to fight for a similar thing because they have the same need.
Yeah.
And that might seem like could be hard or difficult because Northeast and Southeast are clearly different, like vibes, but they have the same need. So that's like, if we could just get out there and talk to people about the bikes and, sorry, you got me about TOSC and stuff like that.
No,
we got to get into that. That's why I told TOSC, and I want to do this with TOSC, we have to have these conversations outside of our bubble of the folks that are riding these bikes and the buses.
Already agree with you.
Yeah, like, it's so easy to go to the west side and talk about biking and walking. Right?
It's great,
Yeah, like I could do this all day long.
What if we had a Garden of the Gods on the east side?
You know
the west side loves
like,
it,
it's
but
so easy to do it. And then, while we're working on the Sand Creek Trail, people think it's also not valuable to talk about that then because we don't currently have that infrastructure.
Right.
But when we go talk to people, they get excited about it. Now we have the people who are going to come join us on these trail cleanups, who are going to join us at City Council, who are going to join the RISE and the Youth Advisory Council. All these people that we don't know are advocates because we're not talking to them because we don't think that they care about it or they don't have it there yet.
Yeah, right. It can come. And Sand Creek Trail is really exciting because for years there's been the Ring the Springs Trail project. And that is like, that could be like Atlanta's project here. Like not Cop City, you can keep that over there. But we can do the ring around this town, tie it together, and how much economic benefit would that be by having this multi-use trail that ties together the entire, like that's a legacy.
For the residents and for the tourists, because we get a lot of money from our tourism, so tourists would love that too.
Yeah. And
good job on not getting Cop City, Colorado Springs. Dealing Mayor Yemi his first loss. Good job on not getting that.
How do you feel about him? About
Word? Are we doing this?
Yeah, because so I didn't want to be like, all right, let's pull out the...
I don't mind. It's not something that people don't already know. If you ask me on the street, I tell you the same thing.
I am had a win
disappointed.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're disappointed.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that he spent so much time advocating in communities that he immediately turned on when he advocated for Cop City.
Yeah.
I am disappointed that he is an immigrant and he would go on there and say things like, I want more raids in my city. He could have just said nothing, actually. It would have been better for him to say, this was a raid, this is what happened, and such the facts. But he had to throw out there, I'm happy they're here, I want to have more raids. Like you are saying, you're putting your position out there.
Yeah.
And remember who you were, the votes that you were courting.
Yeah.
Like, I saw you at a Blackpackers event. have not seen you since. But yeah, I saw you while you were running.
Yeah.
And now you're out here advocating for Colorado City. Also, again, good job, Colorado Springs, on that.
Yeah.
And you are not in touch with what the pulse of a lot of people are saying. I don't know what that looks like in the future, but I'm just disappointed in some of the positions he's taken. I wouldn't say I'm surprised, because I was one of the people that when like Kyle Clark in Denver was like, Colorado Springs has elected their first like liberal mayor. I was like,
no, we knew it.
I'm like, to be clear, like he's the first this, whatever, and that's dope too.
Yeah.
But he is not, liberal. And so I saw him being moderate. And I'm one of the people that followed when he was, got in trouble about the restaurant and the tips and stuff like that over there.
Yeah, with the labor,
Yeah, so I remember that stuff too.
Yep.
So it's not to say I'm not surprised by the positions per se. I'm just so disappointed.
Yeah, it seems like he wanted to run. I've heard both sides, like, no, he's really enjoying it, and that maybe I'll have him as a guest someday. But I wrote a really long article about him, and I don't know if he's read it because it wasn't that kind. But
yesterday he was filling potholes. You see that?
No.
He did a photo shoot with him actually filling potholes, like actually doing.
But he was out on Midland Trail a couple months ago. Like, he had a really big push for clean up the stuff. And
for us to do it.
Trail,
right?
well,
yes.
I mean, who's going to pay for that?
Us.
Well, okay. I mean, that's how it works. And I've kind of wondered on that. Like, does he run for a second term? But who steps in?
That's what I'm saying. You look at that.
You can be like disappointed with him as long as you want, but then who else steps in right after him? It's like, all right, we're building a gate around this entire city, and I'm going to hold up this little piece of paper, and if you're darker than this tone, like, you're in trouble. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I voted for Yemi because I knew the alternative.
Twice.
Yeah, like I knew the alternative was, I have, as a joke, I've been like, I should run for mayor. Not because I want to be mayor.
I'm not laughing at you.
Just because I would push the conversation so far left. They would have to have me in debates, and then I would push the conversation.
And they wouldn't show up anyway. So
don't debate me. I went to school for philosophy. You're not going to win. Like, that's not going to happen. Nobody wins debates with me.
Yeah. So Mayor Patricia. Okay.
Right. No, not realistically, but just so that they'd have to take me seriously and put me on a debate stage. They'd have to cover me in news media, and the things I say would be so far left. Whoever came up behind me would be so reasonable in comparison that we'd really get a liberal mayor.
I'm the progressive that you can agree with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I could push us left, buddy.
I love e-bikes. They're great.
Yeah, the things I could do. I thought about it.
But yeah, no, I get it. And I've told people, like, if there was, that's the other thing is the city council pay.
Yes.
To bring it up there. And I've talked with Kim about that. Obviously, Nancy agrees. Actually, everyone agrees. You listen to the forums from 2 years ago. It's like everyone's, we definitely need it. But there's no political fight for it because you have to, it goes back to the education piece of like, this is what happens when you actually have leadership. Like, how can you sit there and complain about conservative politicians in a market where you keep electing conservative politicians who are not governing, they are not administrating properly, they are not doing the best that they could be doing with our city.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It's frustrating.
I'm glad to have Kim. I'm glad to see the people who are running. I'm glad to see Chauncey running. Really glad to see Chauncey running.
Yeah.
Very glad to see Chauncey running. And that's not a surprise either. I was happy when Shay was running in D11, and now there's somebody running in D11.
I actually did her logo.
Really?
Yeah.
You do logos?
Yeah.
Oh, dope. Okay, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I did that whole slate actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I just like to see the diversity of people running, and I don't just talk about race. I'm talking about like youth, people from different backgrounds. I love seeing that because I grew up here for a long time, and for the longest time, I was a communications specialist on Mary Lou Makepeace's bid for re-election when she was running against Southers.
Okay. So 2014,
15, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I publicly didn't say because I was very active in the Black Lives Matters movement in 2014. At that time, Colorado Springs didn't have a large activist community, so I spent a lot of time in Denver doing it.
Yeah.
But down here, I was doing things like, writing her Facebook post, her Twitter post, running, what was it called? What was that old streaming platform that we used to have?
There was Vine.
No, but before that, like the live streaming platform, like Ustream or something.
Justin TV.
It was a
Twitch.
Ustream.
Yeah, Ustream. Okay, yeah.
And so back then, I was young at that time. I was young in my early 30s, and so they had me for like youth and diverse folks. So I was live streaming her town halls and putting out press releases on it. And so if people tweeted questions during the town hall,
the game right there,
right? Yeah. So I was doing that kind of stuff. And when she go on events, I did stuff like that. And so I remember, like, when Mary Lou was running that time, it looked like that. It looked like Mary Lou, Southers, and the folks that were running for mayor, but they all looked exactly the same.
Right.
In any of the offices at that time when I was involved in politics, I did a lot of work with El Paso County Dems. I have a picture of me drunk next to Hickenlooper.
Okay.
No, because I used to do phone banking.
That's on brand.
Yeah, it is. It is
Multiple
what it is.
ways.
Yeah, I used to drink while doing phone banking because it's just so boring.
It is.
So I used to drink while doing phone banking, and then out of nowhere they're just like, Hickenlooper's coming. He's on the way here. I was like, and of course I'm the black person in the office. They're just like, take a picture with Hickenlooper, and so I take a picture, and I'm literally just like. Just trying to do I look visibly drunk? And I'll show you the picture one day.
Okay.
I look visibly drunk.
Okay.
And he just looks happy. But yeah, but
just
back
happy to see you.
back then it was just me and like a couple older black women, because you'll see that older black women are really getting involved in politics too. Mm-hmm. But there weren't a lot of people even doing the phone banking or like setting up, getting people to vote. And now you're seeing people of all ages doing it, and I love that for us.
I mean, you even see in District 3 that slate, between District 4. 3 and 4, like women getting involved and stuff like that. Chauncey in District 4 and Kim, come on now.
It's incredible.
But you see unfortunately, these other districts where it's people who look like me, just clone stamped over and just copy paste, off you go. And that's unfortunate because there are so many, even just this past election where it's like, if there was one progressive that ran against these people, they would split the vote and you'd have a progressive, and then that would, whoever's back in, I'm sure that's why John Jarrell is kind of thinking about city races now. I'm talking with him eventually. Okay. But the idea of these nonpartisan races that they've ignored just because you don't have Dem access or whatever, those are opportunities. Those are all opportunities. Yeah. And it seems like they've just been skipping them up for the longest time. So maybe leadership takes it that way.
You would hope so. I think that Colorado Springs is getting a lot more. El Paso County is solidly red, of course, because you're including everything. Yeah. But Colorado Springs is a lot more purple than people want to admit, and we could do a lot more towards that.
It's all those Californians and Texans, isn't it?
Maybe the Californians, not the Texans.
Not the Texans. No, Texans. Jackson's Texan, so
I don't know. But no, it's bringing all this back to Blackpackers and why I do this what I do. Mm-hmm. I did do direct activism. I was on the street. I've been arrested, it is what it is.
Yeah.
My backstory is it's very much public, so there's not too much things I could surprise anybody with at this point. Because after that flag burning, I got doxxed. Oh. There was a group of people in the South called the Confederate flag stealers.
Okay.
And their goal was to dox people who stole Confederate flags. I don't know why they didn't use thieves, right? Because stealers, but... they're probably okay. I'm not going to do it.
We're not going to get the grammar here.
We're not going to do that. So anyway, and so they doxed me, and I remember at the time, I told my son, go live with your father for a bit because his father's white, and I was like, maybe you're safe over there. Yeah. I actually lived in Denver and had a lot of support from people who were up in Denver who are now doing incredible things there. But I think that this is my way of doing activism in Colorado Springs. It's very much my way of looking at reparations for anybody who's marginalized, right? If you can't afford to go outdoors or you didn't see yourself being outdoors, whether that's black, queer, native, whatever that looks like. Yeah. I like to do the work for people that, didn't see themselves in the outdoors. And I want to be that loud person in the room to remind people of who that is, especially when people talk about, Pueblo. Oh, my gosh, it pisses me off how people in Colorado Springs talk about Pueblo.
As far as the reputation.
It's awful.
Unearned. Yeah,
I hate it so much. And, that's kind of what the work I think in the space I'm in now, I'm positioned to do is change or help change some of those views and remind them that Pueblo was just as dope as Colorado Springs. They have the same natural stuff we have. Yeah. And everybody has their things in their cities. And it's just not fair for Colorado Springs to sit on an iron throne. Yeah. Or is it Iron Throne? Is it Iron Throne?
I think so.
Maybe I'm thinking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
To sit at Ivory Castle.
Yes, with all the
Ivory
swords.
Castle, sorry.
Ivory Tower.
Yeah, there it is. Ivory Tower.
We're getting
clearly,
there.
Game of Thrones is in my head. But it's just for people to look down on it. And they do it in the same way they look down on the Southeast. Yeah. So I feel so much empathy for that. Yeah. So I want to just turn the outdoors into something that's diverse for everybody. And everybody has access to it. But also remind people that the outdoors is not new to black people.
No.
The outdoors is not new to Hispanic people. We have always done that, but now we put a price tag on it, right? And Colorado Springs and Colorado is great at this idea of outdoor adventure versus outdoor recreation and conflating the two.
Yes.
So the person who walks their dog is outdoor recreating.
Yes.
Just like the person who is, skiing or snowboarding, that can be outdoor adventure, but we don't have to confuse the two. And I think that also intimidates folks sometimes because they think they have to go out here and ultra marathon.
Right.
You
Or
could
do
just
the
walk
incline.
outside. Yeah, you could just walk outside. That's outdoor recreation. But historically, that's been Black culture.
Yeah.
That's what we do. I grew up with my grandma telling me when I woke up in the morning in summer, go outside.
Yes.
And if I came in, I had to stay in. So she was like, go in or go out, but you need to stay outside. I could come in and get a drink so I wouldn't die.
Yeah.
But it was get back outside.
Yeah.
And don't let her air conditioning outside the house. And so I grew up outdoors. My family reunions were outdoors. We're talking about, culturally we'll have barbecues and stuff. That's outdoors.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is like, and don't talk about the fact that we've worked this land. Like, clearly we're outdoor people. So like, that was by force. But the point of the matter is, we've had experience
We're on a
with
journey
the outdoors.
here. We
Culturally, before that even, we were outdoors, right?
No.
And so even with that, we've always culturally held the outdoors, but now people turn it into, are you wearing the latest Patagonia? Are you driving the latest Subaru? Are you wearing the Bloodstones I'm wearing? Whatever it is. And took that away from the people who just put on whatever sneakers they can afford.
Yeah.
And walk the trails they have in their neighborhood, which is why it's important to have access in our neighborhoods for the recreationists. We put so much money in this economy in Colorado to the adventurist and not the recreationist.
Right, and we have had there's a huge backlog on parks and trails and maintenance and public works and all that stuff. So that's why there's a lot of talk around bringing the LARD up so that we can afford to these things, because that's a natural asset that we are not, you can't just build it once and then it exists forever. It's not like Garden of the Gods. You still have to maintain the paths.
Yeah.
The rocks are still there.
Yeah.
Those are going to be fun. Those will be there after us. But the trails in that will degrade and turn into sand and stuff like that. So it's important then to be able to tie those things together. I spent a lot of time outdoors too, but I remember coming out here and when I would tell people I live in Colorado. I'm not from Colorado, but I live in Colorado. You'd be like, oh, do you ski or snowboard? And it's like, no. And because my parents did not have an inn and they did not have the money. You have to kind of have like one or both to really get it. Like, you're not going to Breck unless you did it as a kid. It's that tribalism thing. You go into the military or whatever. You're going to Breck. Yeah. We're going to go out there. We're going to go down some I've never snowboarded in my entire life.
You're not missing much. I mean, I take
played
people
the games,
up there. Good for you. That's
Amped, not SSX.
We go to Blackpackers goes up there twice a year, at least twice a year, with a partnership with the Arapahoe Basin, where we take people up there and we pay for a half-day lesson, a lift ticket, their gear, and their outdoor clothing. And if they happen to need transportation, we've actually partnered with Rocky Mountain Ride a couple times. They're owned by a great couple that supported Blackpackers back before we were a nonprofit, back when it wasn't a tax deduction. They supported us back in 2019. But we also get people transportation, because if you look at this, just take Colorado Springs. You can take Shelton Academy, where I grew up, right? How are you going to get to Monarch? How are you going to get to Breckenridge? Yeah. You're assuming that person has a car. You're also assuming that person has a car that can drive on these mountain passes, right? Yeah. You're assuming that person is comfortable driving mountain passes. Because to be fair, it is not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to navigate 24 or 70 or 50, for crying out loud. Yeah. Didn't somebody just fall off 50 and die? Like, didn't some people... That's not the point. The point of the matter is, these things, we assume in Colorado that people have cars and can afford them. People know how to drive mountain passes, and people are comfortable doing it. So that's one thing. So then if you get to Arapahoe Basin, which is a 2-hour drive, you take 24 to 9, so you go west and north. It's hundreds of dollars. What we provide to Blackpackers per event, per person, will be hundreds of dollars for the lesson, all that stuff like that. Yeah. Do you have that? So you're asking people to not only have the transit access, the desire to go, the money, then you get to the mountain, you're the only Black person in the mountain, and I promise you, they will tell you. Blackpackers goes up there, and almost every time, I was there with Shaquan. You know Shaquan, who runs Mentally Ill Custom Printing?
She almost did these.
She's dope. She saw this. She was there with me. Somebody walked up to us at a Blackpackers event in 2024, I think it was, and said, I've never seen this many colored people in the mountain before. Colored people. We don't even say that anymore. Like, but we're still hearing that in 2024. So also you have to go with transit, money, and then knowing that you might get approached in a certain way, or just being aware of the fact that I'm the only Black person on the
You're
mountain.
being profiled.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And so there are multiple potential barriers for people to go outdoors.
Yeah.
And what Blackpackers does, the tagline is economic equity and outdoor recreation and education.
Wow.
But we say we like to meet people at the intersection of underrepresentation and economic vulnerability. So anybody who either doesn't see themselves out there because historically it has not been propagandized for us to be out there.
Yeah.
Or who grew up without the money. Because I also recognize that when I used to say economic equity and outdoor recreation, I felt like people heard me say all black people are poor and all white people are rich.
Yes.
And that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is if you look at by the numbers and how wealth is transferred in this country, it is not surprising that there are marginalized groups that struggle with equity issues economically by the numbers. But that's not to say that I have plenty of people who come out to Blackpackers events who are not people of color, who also grew up on the Southeast side and did not have access. So we do it for anybody who is at that intersection.
So within Blackpackers, obviously you're going out how much, and you're outdoorsing and you're getting out to places that people wouldn't normally be able to get to. How much do you do any advocacy in there? Like, are you like, this is why this is important in that as well?
Advocacy in terms of what?
Like just programmatic, like this is why this, not necessarily civic engagement, but understanding this is why things are the way they are.
Yeah, every time I have a Blackpackers event, everybody who comes to the event, and we're redoing our website, so you'll actually see us on our website.
I saw your website was broken.
Yeah,
I'm like,
we're working on it. We're redoing it, and I have to write all the copy, and if you're waiting on me to write the copy, it's going to take a second. So give me a second, I will get to the copy.
I need to go up on a trail and wait 2 weeks.
It's just, I got to find some time to write the copy, and I don't have time right now, but I will get to it. But it'll be on the website. If you've seen anything I've written, anything I published, is on there too. But I say this at every Blackpackers orientation. I actually trace. I'll say it really quickly here.
No, it's
so
fine.
I'll just trace it from how we get to wealth issues here. And this is part of the Blackpackers orientation because I want to connect this with people who may not. I think a lot of us know it intuitively. Yeah. But when you hear the numbers, it's different. So my grandmother's still alive. She's 82. So she was born in 1943. And so she grew up, of course, during in the Jim Crow South. By the way.
Yeah.
Which I hate that she's alive to see this happen again. I'm like, damn, Grandma. Like, I wish I could have done something better for you, or you wouldn't have seen this, but whatever. So since the civil rights movement, the wealth gap between black families and white families has gotten larger. People are always surprised when you hear it's gotten larger since the civil rights movement. We hold more wealth by number than we did then, of course, right? But the wealth gap has gotten bigger.
Yeah.
And the median wealth for a black family since the civil rights movement has gone down by 75%. And for a white family, it's gone up by 14%. The black millennials hold the majority of student loan debt. We're killing the game with student loan debt.
But we tried to get better, but it's like...
Well, let me say, it's not going to happen because it's us. Like, you're not going to give something to benefit us. But if you cancel student loan debt, you personally...
Yes,
if we cancel student
I got
loan
the button
debt,
right here.
Yeah,
yes.
if we cancel student loan debt, the median wealth of a black family would go up by 40%. We know this country, how wealth is transferred is typically real estate and equity that way, right? That's how it's been done, like by the numbers, foundationally, historically. Cool.
That's why people fight so much for property values.
Yes. Right. And that's the next thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So, for example, there was a black woman in Florida who went to get her house appraised, and they appraised it at $1 million, right? She's doing well, apparently. And she didn't think that was correct. So she took all the pictures of herself down and anything that could make it look black, whatever that looks like, right? Probably, I can't even, I'm not even going to go there. Because I was going to say some things. It's probably in my house. But the point of the matter is, so then she had her white male friend put up pictures of his stuff and his interests and his face. And the house ended up getting appraised for $500,000 more. Right.
Yeah.
This goes back into when Pete Buttigieg said things like U.S. infrastructure is racist and people laughed at him. It's very much true.
Yeah.
Look at Colorado Springs. Look at how we built it. Look at where we build our highways. Look at where we build our thoroughfares.
Martin Luther King Parkway there.
Look at this.
Bypass.
Look at how we build our highways. Look at where we're building trees. Look at which trees are not invasive and which are in those neighborhoods. Look at where we're building parks. Look at where we're building trails. This contributes to environmental racism, of course. And we know that black males have the highest incidences of asthma. We're like but black males are twice as likely to have asthma. But we also know that this goes into property values as well, too.
Yeah.
And so you look at the neighborhood where my mom lives in, which is the southeast side. She lives in that house since 94. The value of her house and then the value of my house on the west side and how that looks. It's not just location. It's it's location, but also what they value about the people in that location.
Yeah.
So there's that part, too. So you can see how not just redlining, not just when they had predatory loan practices, but how in real estate you can siphon away money by generation by how slowly over time we're unable to afford houses. When we're looking at the housing crisis, Black people are being hit the hardest. If you're looking at the debt crisis, Black people are being hit the hardest. People who are, in general, vulnerable are going to be more vulnerable in times like this, in times of economic squeeze. And so you see, as our country has slowly, thank you, Reagan, gotten to where we are here, from crack to here. You see where the money has gone away. And so to that point, that's what I bring up to everybody with Blackpackers. I'm like, when I wanted to take people outdoors back when I got divorced and wanted to go out there and I fell in love with it and I wanted to take my friends out, it wasn't like they were afraid. Yeah. Nobody was just like, Black
bears
people don't go outside. Yeah, well, they will say bears, right? But I tell them all the time, just like, bears are like, well, our bears here are like big dogs. Like, you're pretty cool. Yeah. But most of the time they're just like, I don't have the gear. Yeah. And I directly link that between, look at our wages, how we're living. Most people can't save. I can't even save. I don't save. There is one good accident that is going to probably kick me out of my house, which is why, again, I'm looking to get married. This is not an economy to be single. Okay. But all jokes aside, so you look at that and like, if people are living paycheck to paycheck, how much money are they going to put into going out there and buying a tent? And then to further that, if they're not used to camping, what does it look like to know where to go to get the tent? What kind of tent to buy? There's so many different versions of it, right? Yeah. If you want to buy a used one, what's to look for, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I tell that in Blackpackers. I talk about the wealth gap, and I talk about, how marginalized folks of all sorts. I can extrapolate this to every different group you could think of.
Because it does.
Yeah. I only speak on Black groups because that's who I'm a part of. But you could extrapolate that anywhere. It's expensive to go outside. So when you have people who are living paycheck to paycheck, they're not going to spend the money to go to Breckenridge.
Especially if they're going to go once.
Exactly. It's an investment that it could be a loss if you don't like it. Yeah. And so this way, people can come out to Blackpackers. They do or don't love it. Most people do. There are some people who are just like, I'm never coming again. I'm like, dope. I don't ski or snowboard either. I refuse. But here's your opportunity to try. So we do that with backpacking, camping, skiing, snowboarding, wilderness medicine classes, hiking. We provide all of the gear. It is professionally guided, fully outfitted. That's what all the gear is, and insured. So I'm me and my organization. That's me, Samir. You know Samir. And Emily works part time. You know Samir. You know Samir. You know of Samir from the Reminders. Okay. So Samir is my program director. Emily works part-time with us as well, with Rides as our program manager. And then my son is a program assistant. Okay. And so we're professional guides. We're insured as such, and so you're getting that. But also I'm a wilderness EMT, a certified interpretive guide, a Leave No Trace master educator, a 5 times NOLS graduate. I currently sit on the NOLS advisory council to their board. And so one of the things I'd like to mention, I always say this no matter what, so it's not like a special thing. I'm not just a Black woman in outdoors. I'm a well-qualified Black woman in outdoors. And sometimes I think people just want to ask me about the Black part and not the fact that I am more certified than a lot of the white dudes that question my ability in the outdoors. I wrote an article for Backpacker magazine like in April. It was about taking a tourniquet with you on backpacking trips. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I believe in taking tourniquets. As a professional lightweight backpacker, I think it's worth a small weight gain to bring a tourniquet. And then when I tell you the Chads, the way they came after me, and it was so funny because one of them said, well, I'm a wilderness EMT from Knowles, and this is what they taught me. I was like, fun fact, I am also a wilderness EMT from Knowles, and I sit on their advisory council. Would you like me to share like your particular opinion with the executive director when I see him this year? Yeah. So like occasionally I had to throw out the certifications because people see me as a Black woman, and I think it's fair also to not be certified. There's something to be said for certifications and what that means in terms of this idea of having to be justified through like certifications and educations. But I will use it when people do that thing where they think they don't think because I'm a Black woman, they don't think that I can do it. And at a level that, any particular specific middle of the road white male from Colorado can do.
Yeah. And that goes back to like the evaluation that you're talking about with the appraisal. It's like you just dress it slightly differently and you get different results. And then you have these people who's like, racism doesn't exist. We like 64, we got it. Yeah. Like we're good.
But you can't out-legislate bias. You just simply can't. No. That woman has a picture of herself in there. It could have been just one little can of grease, hair grease, that threw it off. Take that out and put some skis on the wall. Yeah. And then people would think something differently.
Or a Grateful Dead poster or whatever.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they would be confused with me because I have a shrine to Taylor Swift on my wall in my house. All right. So somebody break into my house was like, a Black woman does not live here. I did not think.
So, all right, boys, let's go.
I'm going to get money from this house. A Black woman does not live here.
we got some bad info.
It's embarrassing.
But that's okay because you got your Swiftum up. And
Yeah,
all
but
that.
that's the whole point of it. It's just like, that kind of thing. And so people talk about, well, it's illegal to deny a loan to somebody. Yeah, but by the numbers, Black people are twice as likely to get declined for a a mortgage or a refinancing, even with a similar credit profile, than their white counterparts.
Yeah, and that goes back to the educate. You just have even saying those numbers out, like I know that just immediately bounces off like glass or something off so many, right? You can bring that up on Facebook or whatever and people aren't going to get that, but you have to keep doing it. It's the touches, it's the over and over institution. And with Blackpackers and being able to introduce that younger,
that matters too. Yeah,
that helps a lot because I didn't become woke, until, because I grew up in a conservative household. Like everything that you're arguing now, I've been like, but America's still the greatest nation that's ever been built. So what are you going to do about it? We beat the British, remember? But it's
one of those, Nick, where you
that's but it took a lot of time and it took a lot of introspection and it took a lot, that's why I have an empathy for people who are not on the same side as me policy wise, especially in this city, because it's like I had to want to be broken down to some extent.
It has to be some sort of open mind. There are some people I know that I cannot reach. I know that. There are some people I can't reach, and that's perfectly fine.
Even if they're family, and that's one of the most tragic things, really.
Yeah, and that's fine. We can go into contact. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't talk for the people I can't reach. Yeah. Those people that when they respond to me, I can tell it's in bad faith. I won't even engage.
Yeah, no, right.
You're just like XYZ N-word. Block. We're not even have that conversation. I won't even engage you. I can tell when you're not really asking the question. You're just doing it in bad faith. But the person who seems like they're just even slightly interested, I have been successful at talking to those people. I will talk to those people, even if stuff they say is kind of ignorant, because I cannot get them out of that ignorance.
Yeah.
If I don't hear the things they're saying. So I don't advise this for everybody, but I have been in a lot of conversations with people who are outright rude. But by the end of the conversation, we got to a different place.
Yeah.
It's like, again, it's not something I advise because I don't think anybody should be rude to you. But in my position, what I believe in, what I want to do is I sometimes have to talk to people I don't want to talk to.
Yeah.
I won't talk to the person who's flat out N-word.
Yeah.
But I will talk to the person that says things like blacks, maybe. Like,
okay.
Maybe you shouldn't call us blacks. That's not okay. But I can talk to you still, right? Kind of thing. So there's somewhere, I wouldn't even say middle, because I'm willing to meet people super far. For what it's worth, interestingly enough, I was surprised in a good way with Southers.
Yeah.
Not to say that me and him agree on most of anything, but I think that the way he did a lot of things was surprising as somebody who had the op report on him. Like, that's what I did on that side of that. I was surprised. And so that's what I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I'm talking to somebody who maybe he could be Southers, who did end up showing up for like the gay pride parade, didn't he, at some point?
I don't think that was his thing. I know Yemi signed off on it.
Did he talk about it? Like he was something about it. It was something I was surprised about it with Southers, because I didn't think he would have any kind of empathy
connection
for it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think of like when he didn't show up for like the Black Lives Matter protests and that, and like I'll meet with some of the organizers in the cab, on a Wednesday or something.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, that's not. So yeah, I don't know.
No, but like there was not just. I'm not saying this guy was like, I can't even say he's Jimmy, because Jimmy's like I wouldn't say that guy was. But the point of the matter is, he did enough that made me feel like if I talked to him, he would listen.
Yeah,
and that's what I want. I don't know if I can change everybody's mind, but maybe there's something I say that somebody heard, and in the future that comes up again, and they'll connect the dots, and they'll finally believe a thing I say. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And I say again, I also believe in set the flags on fire, get out there and stop traffic, get out there and boycott stuff. I would love to have that, the whole like literally worker strike. I'd love to have that thing.
Yeah.
All of those. I believe in all those. So don't think that when I say I'm at the place right now that I'm, talking to people a certain way.
Yeah.
Because please believe, just 3 years ago, I was very much like F you.
Yeah.
To most people I talk to.
But there's sometimes there's a reward. Like sometimes. Like, as someone who's been on the internet for a very long time, like, yeah, sometimes I've got the fuel, I've got the fire. Give me that which I desire.
I happen to have it right. Right now, I have the energy to talk to people who don't agree with me. That may or may not change. I might go burn something tomorrow.
Yeah.
But today, I feel like I have energy because I have It's wholly in the support I have in this community.
Yeah.
It's wholly in the fact that I have a patience. I see a Yev working. I see Kim getting elected. You starting this, having, Mr. Mobley, having Wealthy. Shay running for office. How the community is doing call-ins to each other. Now I feel more comfortable than I did then when I was doing a lot more of my, like I said, flag burning. Now, because there's just so much more support and I'm not the only voice anymore. When I was the only voice, I was so tired of being the only voice that all I had me was yelling.
Yeah.
But now that I see that I can lay this down at the feet of Kimberly, lay this down at the feet of Steph, and Steph will pick it up. That makes it seem like I can be a part of this marathon because there are more people who can pick up the baton.
You can baton it. You can rally race it. Yeah. And I mean, even when I can go to, say, Jack Briggs, formerly the CEO of Springs Rescue Mission, we could talk about public housing. And at the beginning conversation, he can be like, no, the projects were bad. And it's like, well, here's why they were bad. Here's why public housing can work out. He's like, well, at the end, I'm not there with you. And then he retires and he's like, okay, well, never mind. But I'm out, but to be able to have those good faith conversations. And we talk about everyone kind of polarizing, becoming like full fire or full fire, but to be able to like bring it back down and be like, we do have some middle ground here.
I am 1,000% left. Like you can't, when people call me liberal, I get angry.
Yeah.
I am very, very much left. My politics, I would say, would arguably be polarized. The only difference is if I want to move people left, I have got to the point now where I feel like I have to talk to people.
Yeah.
I don't advise anybody else to do it. If you're not in your place in your life to do that, don't do it. Because I don't want to ever tell somebody that their way of doing things or their tolerance for these conversations are even necessary. Because we've seen that you don't always have to talk to people you disagree with to get things done. For that matter, they're doing it now. No one's checking in with the left as they do things on the right, correct? Like D.C. just got taken over. They didn't even tell the mayor nor the police chief.
They're just doing it.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that you have to do that. I will say that if you don't want to, you can share your thoughts with me and I will do it right now because I feel like I can do it. But please believe, Patricia Cameron is...
Well, you just got more patience to talk about it.
It's probably the 42 and raising my 18-year-old son.
That's probably... I wanted to, because we're talking about activism and what's happening locally, especially in the wake of Trump, is that there's been a protest like every other week. And when the Chinook Center gets them out, I'll listen to the Just Cause podcast. I think it's incredible. But they talk about, hey, these are fine, but at a point, like you have to do something.
Agreed.
Like you have to actually get in there. So when you have these big crowds, it's like, that's good. Your sign is witty and that, but I was talking with Brandon Rincon the other day about what do we do to actually get and change things.
It's all of these things though, because I don't want to.
It's all of these. And I'm not saying like yes or no on protest, but it's like at a point that's maybe a start, but you have to move beyond that.
It's part of it because it also reminds people that we're still here.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know the quote it is, but if somebody hurts you and you don't say anything, they think you enjoyed it, something like that. I think it's remarkable because you didn't even see this. You didn't see this with Biden. Like, I think it is marking a specific point in time. It is marking a specific fervor in time. Right?
Yeah.
I do appreciate that, and I am that person who believes that a protest should be disruptive. Personally,
no,
I think your witty sign is dope, but I am a person who believes stop traffic.
Yeah.
Just stop traffic.
Which I think is a step beyond what a lot of these are.
And to be clear, I want to be clear about this because people were saying, well, what if an ambulance came to... Can I just tell y'all, when I have been on highways that we have stopped traffic on, I need y'all to understand that ambulances do not usually use highways an emergency response unless the emergency is on the highway.
Yeah.
You don't want to get... As somebody who is an EMT and worked on an ambulance.
Yeah.
You will see them, but that is typically not their preferred method because if you get stuck on a highway, you can't get off.
Yeah.
You want to stay surface.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that part. Also, I cannot say that I have been an EMT on scene for those, but it's good to have EMTs or street medics that can handle things like that if you're going to stop traffic so that people will not say, like, what if there was an emergency? Well, we had literally the people that you call for an emergency. I would suggest you do that if you're going to do it. Can't say I have. But the point of the matter is I do believe protests should be disruptive. It should be shutting down traffic. It should be aggravating people because they're not going to hear you if you're politely on the corner with a rhyming sign. I think that's dope. I think it's good for memory and I think these are good call outs. But if you're not making a protest like Target's losing money. If you're not doing something that gets to people's bottom line, whether it's I was late to work or I was inconvenienced in some way, they're not going to see how important, like how big a deal this is for us. Like we're talking about inconvenience to you in traffic. Yeah. Meanwhile, ICE is snatching our citizens off the street.
Right.
So I don't want to hear about I was late to work versus citizens are being, not just people who look brown, by the way.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting locked up.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Sent to concentration camps.
Yeah, like everybody. I mean, they have the people that are actually just, look very just middle of the road white.
Yeah.
Who are getting hemmed up. I'm not sure if that matters to people, but it's everybody. And I was talking to somebody else who just like, well, I was born here. I think it was a black friend of mine. He was like, I was born here. And I'm, I blah, 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 I have my passport that says it. I'm like, okay, how are you going to prove it?
Yeah.
If you're on the street and somebody yanks you up, how are you going to prove that you have that passport and you're born here? It's probably at home, right? I don't carry mine. I would lose it. If you carry it, good for you. Too. But I'm like, it's that, what's it called? The process, due process.
Due process, yep.
Everybody has due process so that you can tell them these things and you can show them your passport.
Present facts before.
Exactly. And so what they're doing is taking away due process for everybody. So whatever you think about immigration, I'm not actually arguing that point right this very second. What I do think we need to have all the alarms of due process cannot be taken away.
You're right.
We have to give people the right to say who they are or not here and still have the same court system rights to be humans when you're incarcerated or whether all the same things we've had. I'm not like a God bless America person. For one, I'm an atheist. And then two, like I'm not super stoked about where I was born because, again, that wasn't my choice.
Yeah.
But like I do believe that a healthy democracy has the ability to have court systems and laws and the right of attorney and a lawyer. And these are foundational. These were things that we used to be proud of to say. And the people who were on the far right conservatives said, this is America, not Iraq. You don't get your hand cut off in the street. Okay, whatever they were saying, but it's happening here. Where are y'all?
Well, it goes back, again, it goes back to education piece. Like if you don't understand what makes the country actually great, then you're not going to mind when it's disappeared. And or if like when people's wives or they're being deported themselves for supporting Trump, and it's like you saw the Republican National Conference, the convention last year, and they had mass deportations now. Like everyone just sees of these signs, and then it happens.
DC. All those people were just like, we need to have guns to protect against the government. That's that argument, right? It's DC right now. Where are y'all?
Yeah, no, I know. And those are the same people who would also vote for a military that could annihilate them at any moment. Right. It's a perfect circle.
Yeah. Your guns aren't going to help against the U.S. military, but
yeah, when Predator Zone drone comes in and your entire house is in flames, it doesn't matter how many clocks.
Me and my revolver against Fort Carson isn't going to work.
No, and I don't care how many soldiers change it fine. But one point that I've made a couple times is Yemi, to what you were saying earlier about Yemi saying we need more ICE raids or something like that. Dude was on a student visa. He would have been nabbed up right now.
That's the thing. I'm like, you're an immigrant.
You see the irony in this.
And I hate saying it because I don't want to say it because it's not a thing I would say in any other circumstance because I don't bring up like that kind of thing. But it's like, how is an immigrant? And it meant enough to you to be proud of it when you were running to say that, right?
Yeah.
Now don't want to defend them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on. That's just
He came in legally. And it's like then you start getting down that rabbit hole of,
but the people and that's where they're trying to change what legally meant, right? Because most of the people did come in legally. And so they're trying to change no, it wasn't legal because the order Biden made was illegal. So they're trying to actually move the goalposts. And so I don't even do the whole legally illegally thing because if you tell the right person but these people are coming in legally. Yeah, but Biden, he made an illegal order. That conversation will go nowhere.
And there's plenty to criticize about Biden.
Yeah.
1,000%. So,
which is fine, but if we do this thing where whoever's president, that's what normalizes like what is law in this country, we're in trouble. Like you don't have to, you don't agree with Biden, but now you're saying that what he said was an unlawful order. Okay, so then and everything Donald Trump said is lawful, then the next president, that's the case. Like, what are we doing?
No.
There has to be a place where we stop.
And that goes back to the standardization of standards of whether it's due process or even Obama was, sending predator drones and locking up immigrants in concrete caves, stuff like that. You have to address all that in good faith.
You have to address it in the ways we do that, which we used to be through, whatever. And maybe some of these systems are outdated, sure, but it cannot be through a dictatorship.
Right.
We cannot change it through fascism. We need to change it through a democratic process, and that's not what's happening now.
And that's tough. And it's like, okay, we're continuing to sail this way, are we going to have enough brakes to stop this station wagon from coasting off the cliff?
I don't know.
That's a great way to wrap this up. Patricia, how can we reach out to you? How can we find you? Like, where's Blackpackers at? I mean, I know you got a website coming.
Yeah, like I said, I did the copy. We are located at the corner of Pikes Peak and Weber. So we're downtown. Wasatch. No, it's Wasatch.
Yeah.
Just because Weber is something else.
Because you're right next door where the Colony used to be.
Yes. Because Pikes Peak and Weber is actually, I think, a cannabis store now.
Yeah.
There's one of them there. But the point is, we moved downtown because it's on the grid.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to get in and out of the grid. So we're downtown. That's where our outdoor classroom is and where our office is. You can reach out to me right now through email. It's patricia@blackpackers.com. We are updating our social media. Like I said, our website's getting redesigned, and actually all the design parts done. Like I said, the copy is the part that needs to get done. Mm-hmm. But we're making it so that our website has ability to sign up for our events, our waiver forms on there, and so much more functionality than it had before. The one thing I did want to mention that I didn't say earlier is, so Pikes Peak State College closed their outdoor recreation leadership technology program. We no longer have that program at Pikes Peak State College.
What, is it a money thing or logistics? Or?
They didn't really tell us. It was a combination of things, but none of those were not known when they hired Bill Landis, who went on 4 years ago to become the department head and most of the faculty. Mm-hmm. I met him because I was the advisory chair for that program. We fought to keep it open because we need that option here. Like, Colorado Mountain Colleges are 2-year degrees that are all over Colorado, but we don't have one of those here. Mm-hmm. The only other outdoor programs like that are CC and UCCS, and that's out of reach for a lot of people.
Yes.
And so we did fight to keep it open. It closed. However, dope news, Bill now works with Blackpackers. And so I have the department head of the Outdoor Recreation Leadership Technology Program at PPSC. And so Blackpackers is, I know, right? You can tell I've said it a few times.
You got it already.
We are now launching our first class piloted just now. It's land navigation. We're launching our outdoor education certification program. We've been wanting to do it for a bit. We, a year and a half ago, got $1 million grant from the Colorado Health Foundation to invest in building a physical building for it.
And you're like, hey, Nick, remember this. It's like orientation, right?
The land navigation part? Yes, orientation. Yeah. But the goal is, this pilot class is the first one so we can get some data on it. We want to start our first cohort in January and have people run through courses like land navigation, wilderness ethics, wilderness first response, risk management, all the courses you would see at any other, literally what you would see at Pikes Peak State College or even the Knolls. At the end of it, people would get a certificate from Blackpackers after doing that program, after doing intern hours at Blackpackers by leading some of our programs, that kind of thing, that they could hopefully go with certification. So you would get a wilderness first response certification. You would get a leave no trace certification, and hopefully be able to go out and literally go and get jobs in the outdoor industry. So please, if you're interested in that, reach out to us. It will be on our website, I promise, by September. I'm saying it here, and it'll be October, and I know it'll be up there. So yeah, please check that out. We want to get a cohort of people who are dedicated to it. You will get the same education you would have gotten at PPSC. Like I said, I have the department head. I even adjunct myself at PPSC and at Red Rocks. You will get a great career, but hopefully people who are from where I'm from, or maybe not see themselves outdoors, can use this as a way to attack the wealth gap. So this is a job, one thing, and also change the way the outdoor looks in Colorado.
And what people think of the outdoors.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I worked at Murph for 2 years, and I was the black person there. I don't know if they have anybody now, but I was the only person there. Yeah, and that was fine, too. But we want to have more of us out there.
Yes.
So.
Well, Patricia, thank you for being able to make it on our show. It's been so fun. I know we could talk about so much more, but...
I ramble, so I'm glad you were able to bring it in.
No, hey. That's what we're here for. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Nick.
Oh, and wasn't that a great interview? I told you it would be. I did a reel this week about people who have been asking me, multiple parties have been asking me about getting on the show. And trust me, I'd love to have everyone. I would love to do kind of a Humans of New York style photo essay where I get to talk to basically every single person in town. But as far as the resources of the show go, I have a finite list. I mean, I had 30, 40 people when I send out invites as soon as this campaign was done, or even before this campaign was done, but when it was funded, like, all right, I can only fit 10. We only raised for 10. We only can do 10. But I talk about that in a reel in the there's only 2 episodes left of the season after this, right? So in the final episode of the season, I'm going to talk about what next steps look like. I'm going to talk about what season 3 potentially looks like. There would be a new campaign. So let's get out of here. Love your family, love your friends, love your city, and free Palestine. Let's go to the credits.
Badly Needed and Long Overdue is part of the Studio 809 Community Podcast Network. These interviews are recorded at Studio 809 in the Next Us, a professional cooperative environment for small businesses in downtown Colorado Springs. Be sure to check out all the other fine podcasts at studio809podcasts.com, where you can find your new favorite local podcast. This show is produced by myself and Dave Gardner, with video directed by Dave Gardner. Show music is by Injection Site Reaction. Thank you guys. I'd like to give a thank you to Catherine Chukas and Ken Schauer, and a special thank you to Kelly Karnetsky for helping fund this second season of BNLO on Indiegogo.